And so just another welcome for everybody. We're really excited to have you all here, and we're really thankful that you guys took the time out this evening to speak to our panelists and join us for this great discussion. So this event is a joint initiative between the University of Alberta Geotechnical Centre, the Women in Scholarship, Engineering, Science and Technology U of A chapter, also known as WISEST, the U of A Canadian Geotechnical Society student chapter, known as UACGS, and the United Nations Association in Canada Edmonton branch. And just another note before we start, we would all like to acknowledge that we are currently living and working on Treaty 6 territory, which is the traditional land of both First Nations and Métis people. We acknowledge that the Indigenous peoples were the stewards of the land before us, and we thank them for their efforts in caring for the land and water we use today. We would also like to acknowledge that this event is an inclusive place where we are here to listen, share, and discuss experiences of women in the geoscience industry. We are not here to debate or discredit any experiences shared by either panelists or attendees, and we will not tolerate any inappropriate language or behavior. We are all here to learn from others so we can make our industry a more welcoming place. So please be respectful of others' thoughts and experiences. But that being said, we have a great program lined up for everybody today. The program includes a brief introduction about what WISEST is, which will be presented by Helen Yip, a brief video of what geotechnical engineering is, a panel discussion with our wonderful guests, Allison Isidoro, Dr. Ahlam Abdulnabi, Nicole Winstanley, and Ehlam Iftikhar. And finally, we'll be doing breakout room sessions where you can ask additional questions to our panel members in a more intimate session. So the plan for the panel discussion is that we will ask 4 questions to the panel members for them to respond and break the ice, and then we will open the floor for any questions that the audience members will have. So please don't feel shy about either unmuting yourself and asking a question or simply typing your question in the chat box. If you do feel a little shy, however, that's no worries at all. Individuals will have a chance to ask any of their questions in smaller breakout rooms following the panel discussion. So we'll give a minute or two for more individuals to join the call from this point on, and then we'll start with Helen's presentation around 5 after 5, which is now, but we'll give it maybe a minute, Helen, if that's okay.
Yeah, no problem.
Perfect, thank you.
Gabriella, I think what I'll do is just set up my presentation and you can just cue me for when to start. Okay.
Yeah, that's perfect. Thank you. And I think we're good to go, Helen, if you're ready.
Sounds good. All right. So I'll make this quick. I've got 5 minutes. So I'm going to go through some information about who WISEST is and what we do. So just to begin, my name is Helen and my pronouns are she and her, and I'm the outreach coordinator at WISEST. So my focus is on building programs and resources to address the needs of the community. And part of that is through community partnerships. So I do really want to thank you for inviting WISEST to participate in this event today. I represent our staff team at WISEST, who, as you can see, is small, but a really mighty group. We've got Favone Goings as our team lead, who oversees WISEST's operations, and Bridget Fraser is our program coordinator, who oversees our conferences and summer research program. So I just wanted to start with a statistic just before I jump into, who WISEST is. According to a report put out by Statistics Canada in 2012, only 21.6% of professionals in STEM, which stands for science, technology, engineering, and math, were women. So you may have heard of the analogy of the leaky pipeline. It's where a woman's journey to becoming a STEM professional is illustrated in the form of a pipeline. And at critical junctions in this pipeline, women leave for a variety of reasons, hence the leaky part of it. And it's at those certain points where women come face to face with certain barriers or obstacles that prevents them from going further. So some of the barriers include lack of role models, lack of confidence, cultural norms, and unconscious bias. So WISE is formed as a result of this pervasive problem, that women are not represented in numbers comparable to their male counterparts, not because they aren't capable of contributing to the work, but because of these barriers, that continue to hinder their success in STEM. So as Gabriella just, introduced us, we've got quite a mouthful of an acronym. So that's why we use WISEST. But WISEST stands for Women in Scholarship, Engineering, Science, and Technology. And we're a unit based out at the University of Alberta. We were formed back in 1982 by Dr. Gordon Kaplan and the late Dr. Margaret Ann Armour. So for 39 years, we've been doing this work of increasing diversity and inclusion in STEM fields. It is important to note that as WISEST continues to evolve, our mandate continues to expand to include increasing representation for other equity-seeking groups, so not just women. For example, gender non-conforming individuals, LGBTQ plus individuals, etc. So I'd love to highlight a few of our programs that we offer annually to address these issues of underrepresentation in STEM at critical points in a student's educational and career journey. So every February, we run what's called our Choices Conference. It's targeted towards grade 6 girls and gender non-conforming students. Traditionally, this is run at the University of Alberta in February, but this year we're doing a virtual conference. It's actually happening this week, starting tomorrow. And it strives to break misconceptions about science and related careers. We want to show students STEM can be fun and exciting. So we often put a call out for volunteers in November through our newsletter where we ask STEM professionals, STEM graduate students, or undergraduate students to help out. For our junior high students, we actually recently partnered with Kids Code Jeunesse, which is a not-for-profit determined to give every Canadian child access to digital skills education. And they have a focus on girls in underserved communities. So we have partnered with them to offer after-school coding programs, but it is put on hold until we can be back in person again. Now for high school, we've got two programs, the SET Conference for High School Girls and Gender Nonconforming Students, which is, it's a combination of hands-on activities and career sessions. We often put a call out for volunteers in September for this. And we also have our flagship program, the summer research program, which employs grade 11 students in fields that are underrepresented for their gender. You're going to meet Ehlam Iftikhar, who's one of our alumna, and Dr. Ahlam Abdulnabi, who was one of our PIs. So you're going to get to hear from their perspectives today. But we like to pair girls and gender nonconforming students with STEM labs like chemistry, physics, engineering, and we actually also recruit male students as well in the fields of nursing and nutrition. So if you are a part of a lab that wants to host a student, the PI or supervisor proposals open March 15th this year. I'm just going to drop a link for the summer research program if you're interested in more information. That's in the chat box. Now, once students move on from high school, we support two networks that focus on providing opportunities for networking and career building. For undergraduate students, there's UAWISE, which stands for University of Alberta Women in Science and Engineering. I'll drop a link for their website. And then for graduate students and for postdocs and early career professionals, we actually have a network called WISER, which is Women in Science, Engineering, and Research. And what I want to give some attention to, and I've just dropped their website link in the chat box as well. What I do want to bring attention to is that the two of them, so WISER and UAWISE, run what's called a mentorship program, which is a program that connects undergraduate students, graduate students, postdoctoral researchers, young professionals and experienced professionals in STEM fields together. And applications to become, a mentor begin in July, and applications to become a mentee begin in September. So I highly encourage you to check it out. I'll drop a link on the mentorship program, but it is advertised for last year's iteration. So just keep an eye out for when the new information comes out for this year. And that was a really quick overview, and I realized that I had 5 minutes here and I might be over time, but if you'd like more information, I highly encourage you to subscribe to our newsletter, and I'll put a link in the chat box again for how to subscribe, or follow us on social media for the latest updates of our upcoming programs, volunteer opportunities, and other STEM related content. You can also check us out on our website, or send an email to me, wisest.outreach@ualberta.ca.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Helen. That was a great presentation. And just from our lab and my experience with WISEST, it's an extremely, it's just an amazing program to get involved with. So whether you're an undergraduate student or a high school student, yeah, just make sure to check out their camps and their programs. They're great if you're interested in STEM. Awesome. So now that we heard from Helen, we're going to show you a 5-minute video about what geotechnical engineering is. And this video was developed by the Women in Deep Foundations through the Deep Foundations Institute. So I think we have that video here. And
Hey Lauren, how are you? Hi, great. You got so much. That's pretty awesome, right? It was. Enjoyed it. Yeah, it was good to see you. You too. Hi, I'm Jonna. I work in the geotechnical field. My job's interesting, exciting. Wait, what? You don't know what the geotechnical field's about? No problem. I have some friends who can help with that.
Hi, I'm Lori Simpson. I'm with Langen Engineering, and I'm on a job site in Oakland, California, where they're going to build a 400-foot tall high-rise. So these are the piles that are going to support that high-rise. It's going to have a basement, so we have a whole lot of shoring in to make this excavation. They're chipping down the piles now to subgrade, and we're out here to watch the piles. We watch the shoring go in, and we're checking the subgrade to make sure that the subgrade is good for a mat foundation that's going to get poured on these piles.
I'm Jules, and I'm managing a crew building a 239-foot diameter unreinforced diaphragm wall shaft.
Hi, my name is Fanny. I'm an assistant project manager with Natural Foundations. We are currently installing sheet piles for a brace excavation of 14 feet deep.
Hi, I'm Natalia. I work for Tincada Verify as an engineer business manager in Florida. I'm in the field today to install some high-performing fabric.
I'm Peggy. I'm down here mapping out the structure of the sinkhole so that we can put a building on top of it.
I'm a geostructural engineer. I might have designed the dam that powers your city.
I'm a geotechnical contractor. I may have built the foundation of the building that you're in right now.
We manufacture rock drills so contractors can build mountain roads that won't fail.
I manufacture drilling equipment that is sometimes used to search for buried treasure.
I'm a geotechnical engineer. I drill, dig, and explore what's under the ground. I get really muddy.
I build.
I design.
I educate.
I conduct research.
I'm an integral part of this dynamic team.
I manage major projects.
I calculate.
I supply specialty equipment and materials.
what I do.
So, what do you think? Want to know more? I thought you might.
Awesome. So now that we've given you a little bit of an idea about what geotechnical engineers do, if you still are unsure, or if you have a little bit more questions for us, that's great, because our panel discussion is now going to start, and it's the perfect place to learn more from the people who are actually in this field and helping to put those projects together. So as mentioned before, we'll begin by introducing our speakers, followed by some prepared questions. Afterwards, we will open up the floor for questions from the audience. So our panel today is composed of a cross-section of the geosciences field, from junior to experienced members, and from academic to practical. Our first panelist is Ehlam Iftikhar. So Ehlam is in her senior year at St. Paul Regional High School and was raised in the small town of St. Paul, Alberta for 10 years, which is a community known to behold the first UFO landing pad. She has been involved with WISEST since grade 10 by attending their annual SET conferences and being a member of their youth council. Furthermore, she is a 2020 Summer Research Program alumni. Her fervent passion for STEM also continues through the Canadian Association for Girls in Science by being one of their teen ambassadors for the 2021 session. Recently, she has been accepted to the University of Alberta in honors in physiology and is excited to continue her journey into academia. So our second panelist is Nicole Winstanley. So Nicole is a geotechnical engineer working for BC Hydro on the Site C Clean Energy Project in Fort St. John, BC. She is also completing her Master's of Engineering degree here at the U of A. Nicole has worked in geotechnical engineering for almost 10 years and has experience in both consulting and industry. She has also been involved with the U of A CGS student chapter and was part of a mentoring trio with the UA WISE or WISER program. She enjoys mentoring young professionals and promoting the field of geotechnical engineering. And our third panelist is Dr. Ahlam Abdulnabi. Ahlam is a research associate of geoenvironmental engineering at the University of Alberta. Ahlam was trained as a geotechnical engineer, but her graduate journey at the U of A chiseled her research and practice career, the focal point of which is sustainable development and environmental stewardship, specifically advanced mine waste management. And finally, joining us today is Allison Isidoro. Allison is a senior geotechnical engineer at Golder Associates with over 20 years of experience in the design, construction, and operation of mine waste facilities. She graduated from the University of British Columbia with a Bachelor of Applied Science in Geological Engineering. Allison started her career in consulting and spent a lot of time in the field during her early career doing quality assurance monitoring for construction of tailings dams. Allison spent 2 years working for a mine in northern BC as a tailings dam engineer before returning to consulting when she joined Golder 15 years ago. Allison is happy to participate in today's panel discussion and to support women in science and engineering. We're so very happy to have these wonderful guests with us tonight. So let's jump right in so that we can make sure that all of the participants can ask questions as well. So the first question I'll be directing to Ahlam and Ahlam specifically. So for both of you, how would you describe your experiences working with WISEST and their placement system? Who would you have any advice for interested students or mentors? So I guess we can start with Ahlam if that works.
Yeah, for sure. So WISEST honestly changed my life. Like prior to the summer research program, I was a person who was just kind of lost. Sure, I knew I loved sciences and desired to pursue a career that revolved around this discipline. But I really didn't understand myself that time and basically allowed the direction of the wind to be the determining factor of how I would approach life. As a result, this had resulted in me not to be bright and smiley kind of gal. But WISEST changed all of that. I remember marking the date on the calendar when their annual set conferences were situated and became extremely excited to participate. This is because the whole day was jam-packed with experiments and fascinating courses on the various fields of sciences. At the end of each conference, they would then discuss the summer research program, and I was frantically writing notes because I knew I wanted to be a student researcher, and fortunately, I got accepted. Truth be told, I did not pick civil engineering as my first choice of placement, but I'm extremely grateful that WISEST assigned this research towards me. It made me come outside my comfort zone because initially when I saw the word engineering, my heart leaped out of my chest because that word really did scare me. But I was able to conduct riveting research on oil sand tailings, a topic I had no knowledge of prior to the program. With the help of my awesome research team, which included Dr. Ahlam Abdulnabi herself and Dr. Bayer, I performed literature review and analysis of graphs that were wicked cool. Throughout the whole program, I was smiling my face off. I finally found a place that I loved and got the opportunity to communicate with like-minded individuals. It was an exceptional experience. Now, when majority of people hear the word research, they would think, oh, it's just reading and writing and reading and writing some more. But it is so much more than that because WISEST exposes us to the interdisciplinary nature of research. So that leads to my advice for students interested in the summer research program. Keep an open mind. Let your mind be broadened by the vast non-traditional careers and where gender disparity exists with WISEST that introduces you. Also, when you're applying, do not try to be an ideal candidate. Try to be an ideal version of yourself. Express what you're passionate about and discover yourself along the way, because I know I did.
Wow, that was an awesome answer. I love your passion and yeah, it's great to have you here today. Thank you. And I think I'll extend the question to Ahlam as well.
Yeah, thanks, Gabby. And thanks, Ahlam, for this great perspective. Really appreciate what you said there. For me, I think my favorite part of this sort of entire placement was they don't approach things in a way that, oh, science is cool and awesome and stop, because it is, but there's also another layer of complexity and it's a profound topic and there's a lot of challenges. And so during the 6 weeks program, the students, and this is our second year hosting a brilliant young person in our labs, but the essence of it is we sort of expose them to a range of actual challenges and sort of complexities of the work of in our engineering, in our science, and all that. And so this is certainly what sets the program apart. Is not just the sensationalism of science and cool experiments, but actually really deep understanding. I mean, as deep as you can get with 6 weeks. But I got to tell you, in the past 2 years, I didn't pull any punches, right? So that was my second, but it was the second student. And it's amazing how much these young minds are able to comprehend and what fresh perspective they bring into things. And so advice is, I couldn't add to anything more than what Ahlam said. Don't shy away from applying and go for it. And hopefully, I'm sure whether you're no matter in what sort of end of the spectrum you end up placed, and I'm sure you'll get to work with awesome people. And yep.
Awesome. No, that's great advice. And I know I second all the advice you guys had. It's important to reach out and make sure you shoot your shot, and you never know where you end up. So it's important to apply and make sure you get your name in there. It's a wonderful experience. So that's great. So our second question for the panelists, this one I'll direct to Allison and Nicole. So how would you describe your typical work week? And so I guess we can start with Nicole.
All right, so as Gabriela said earlier, I'm a field engineer with BC Hydro, and we are currently building a hydroelectric dam in northern BC. So in my field engineering role here, I'm a liaison between the kind of design team and the field conditions. So it's a pretty large dynamic site. There's a lot going on. So I don't know if there's a typical week. It could be one day I could be in an underground tunnel looking at what rock support needs to be installed to make sure that that tunnel is safe for people to work in, and so that it can be effective. And then the next we could be looking at instrumentation plans for dam safety, and to see how we can monitor movement in the ground and water pressures so that we can make sure that the dam is always safe and doing what it's supposed to be doing. So it's really exciting that way. You get to see kind of some really cool excavations going on, and yeah, it's nice. There's kind of a balance between some field work, going out and seeing what's actually going on the ground, and then also being in the office and kind of making sure that the design intent of the engineering team is actually being met in the field.
No, that's awesome. Thank you, Nicole. Yeah, as Nicole said, there's a huge variability in what we see in site, and so it's really important to kind of have both that balance in your career. So I'll extend this question to Allison as well. So how would you describe your typical work week?
Thanks, Gabriela. So yeah, it varies a little bit seasonally, I would say. Right now through the winter, lots of, often lots of design work and supporting on operations for mines. So we'll do modeling for water balances, deposition modeling for tailings, stability analysis, different things like that are going on right now. So lots of, I've worked with a team on the geotechnical aspects of tailings facilities, but we have other teams that support us, spillway designs for facilities that we get support from our hydrotech team. So often, calls and collaborating with other groups to support our clients, calls with clients to go over results, just talk about any issues that they have. I working a lot with an operating mine. So there's a lot of focus on just supporting them with operations as the engineer of record. Other times you're working on a design. So then, you're doing more of the modeling and such. I review a lot of reports and documents, write a few reports and documents. That's the key. I work in consulting. So deliverables is really what we produce for our clients to provide them with solutions. And working with junior and intermediate staff and mentoring as well in engineering. In the summer, we tend to have more of our field work and construction happen. So we'll often have staff out in the field doing what we call quality assurance monitoring for construction. So they're out there making sure that the construction of the dam is meeting our specifications and our design. And we are supporting them from the office and helping resolve issues or things that come up in the field that are different than what we expected. And so we have to make modifications and that kind of thing. I also go out and do, I don't do as much of the actual field work anymore. I did a lot when I first started, but now I typically am supporting field teams more often than not. But I do get out and do dam safety inspections. Our clients often require that we do those on an annual basis at least, or checking on the construction as well, just supporting the field staff. So that's kind of a bit of a range of things going on. With consulting, that tends to be the case. It's quite varied and just sort of depends on what project and the season as well. So hopefully that helps.
No, that was a great description. And I like how you have such variability seasonally as well. And I know from my experience, a lot of my mentors have said 90% of an engineer's job is communication. So I think that was very well said as well.
Very
so
true.
Thank you so much, Allison and Nicole. Thank you. So I think this third question is for all of the panelists. So what inspired you to pursue a career, schooling, or WISEST placement within the geoscience discipline? So I think just in terms of order of how these things are going, we can probably get Ehlam to answer this question first.
Yeah, for sure. So as I previously mentioned, I was really surprised to be put into geoscience discipline within the summer research program, but I'm grateful I was. I could perhaps mention why I was so inclined and passionate towards science that created me to become involved with WISEST. So I live in St. Paul, and St. Paul is a rural community. And so it's approximately 2 hours away from Edmonton. And so one of the disadvantages in living in a rural community is that it does not offer as many opportunities for you to pursue your interests as opposed to an urban one. However, I was extremely grateful to have a teacher who provided these set opportunities for me. This teacher was wicked cool. He created a science club in my high school, introduced me to topics I would never imagine I would have worked on before. So one of them included aquaponics fish farm. So aquaponics is a combination of aquaculture, which is growing fish such as tilapia, and hydroponics, which is growing plants without soil. So it has a symbiotic combination in which the plants are supported by the fish's waste that have been converted into nutrients by special bacteria. And another project that we worked on was learning to apply sensors and control EV3 Lego Mindstorm robots. So with all these projects, it really made me become passionate towards STEM. And I remember the day that I walked through my high school hallways and I saw the poster of WISEST. And just because that teacher made me so passionate about science, I was like, yep, I want to become involved in science. I want to go to that set conference. I want to be in that summer research program. So that's kind of how it all started off and why I became involved with WISEST in the first place.
Well, that's awesome. Thank you so much, Ehlam. I think we'll have Ahlam talk on this question as well.
Yeah, thanks, Gabby. It's interesting that you sort of allude to teachers and their sort of role in getting you interested in things. And I was interested in science because even as a little girl, I was just so sort of fascinated with how things work. So more often than not, my mom would drop in on me. I would dismantle the remote control. I would probably get yelled at multiple times for doing these kinds of things. But I was always sort of keen on knowing how things work. So I got into civil engineering. Third year, there was a professor that was really interesting the way he brought in soil mechanics and I'm sure every person who studies geotechnical engineering at some point were introduced to the notion of, oh, it's a science, it's an art, it's both. And so I kind of got interested and got into geotechnical engineering. And when I got into grad school, another good teacher, so you see there's a pattern there. People actually get you through things the way they, I don't know, inspire you, maybe might be the right word. But hats off to Dr. Wilson. It was an 8 o'clock in the morning lecture, and he showed this outrageous red river. And I'm like, what in the world is this? And so he's sort of explaining acid rock drainage and mine waste management. I had no prior experience. I was just a random, like just a regular geotech, right? Foundations and mats and shoring. And so I was intrigued. I was interested in, and right after that lecture, I just marched into his office and I was like, I gotta work on this. And so, and I never looked back.
Oh, that was great, Allum. Thank you. I think I'll extend this question to Nicole next.
All right. So I have always loved math and science. I love kind of the elegance of math and things like that. But I've also always had a very practical. I wanted to be able to do something with it. And so engineering for me was kind of a given that way, in that you still get to kind of have all of that experience with kind of the fun math, I guess, but you're actually putting it towards a practical purpose, and you're seeing something in real life when you come out of it. And so I initially started out, my undergrad was in environmental engineering, and I wanted to be able to have a positive impact in the world, while still being able to kind of feed this side of me that wanted to be involved in maths and sciences. And then I had some awesome research placements when I was in undergrad, actually in forestry research. And as part of that, I was working up in the Northern Territories, in the Yukon and the Northwest Territories. And we were working along some rivers where you could see these giant permafrost slumps. And it was just endlessly fascinating to me, kind of the slope stability aspects. And so that kind of started steering me in towards geotechnical engineering, and to see that you can have, you can do some really great field work, and you can still be out in the bush looking at sites, looking at areas. And you can have a real positive impact in terms of the public and public safety as well, with building infrastructure, maintaining roads, and those links, especially that you have with northern and rural communities, like these highways and these resources are so important for those communities. And so I think that kind of tweaked my interest in geotechnical engineering, especially, and kind of followed from there. So my first job out of university was in geotechnical engineering, and I think it's a great place to be. It's so fascinating. You get to see such a wide variety of projects, even within a single site. No two places are the same. So that's where you get kind of that art and science interpretation aspect of it. It's you will never get bored for sure. And so that's kind of how I ended up in geotechnical engineering.
No, that's awesome. Thank you so much, Nicole. And I'll extend the same question to Allison as well.
Yeah, so it's interesting because, like, as a high school student, definitely math and science were my thing. In memorizing history, not my thing. So it kind of was definitely going that way. I did a couple of courses in AutoCAD and MiniCAD. I don't even know if I have that anymore, but one was for architecture, one was more engineering based, and that kind of, found that quite interesting. And then decided to go into engineering undergrad, and first year was general, so you're just taking your basic science courses really, and then we had one course that was presentations on all the different disciplines, and so they had like a group of people that would sort of tell you about what's electrical engineering, what's mechanical engineering, and at UBC there's a geological engineering discipline, which is a kind of a combination of a civil engineering and earth and ocean sciences, a little bit of mining engineering thrown in there to get rock mechanics. And I found what I really liked about it was the combination of the field work and the office. So that really appealed to me, and I thought, that's a good fit for me. I'd like to do that. I'd done a little bit of geology, in high school, and really found that interesting. So decided to kind of go down that route. And the other thing was just sort of like Nicole was talking about too, like I wasn't the best math student or the best physics student, but I liked solving problems and I was good at solving problems. And engineering is about solving problems and coming up with, it's not, can you memorize this crazy 3D math question or something? It's applied to solving a problem. And so for me, that was just clicked, that it was an application to solving problems and using those skills. So that's kind of how I ended up into the geological geotech end of things. So.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you so much, Allison. I know a lot of our panelists here are liking to apply their sciences and stuff, which is so great to see. And it's so nice to see that all of us are here today to discuss all of these questions and just allow everybody to see that women can get out there and work both the field and the office and make their dreams come true. So it is great to see. So thank you guys. And I think I'm just going to ask if the audience has any questions for the panelists at this point. I know we've had some questions answered by the panelists, but if you have any direct questions, please feel free to unmute yourself or type a question in the chat box, and we'll kind of let the panelists answer those questions for you. All right, so I don't think we have any questions yet. So I think what we'll do is we'll go into the breakout rooms now, and then we'll get a chance to answer these questions one-on-one with the panelists if you have any questions there. So I think Vivian and Fernanda can get that going for us because I'm not that great at technology. So I think you'll have an option to join a breakout room in your Zoom.
Yes, can you see the options for 3 rooms we have? You can select the one you want to join.
Perfect, thank you so much. Breakout room. I know ours was a great discussion, so I hope you guys had one as well. I know they were a little short and sometimes they can be, but hopefully you found this information and this session helpful. We just want to thank you all so much for joining us today. Thank you to our wonderful panelists and group leaders, and thank you to all the individuals who helped put this event together. We really appreciate it, and it wouldn't be possible without you all. So thank you for loaning us your evening tonight. We very much appreciate it. And we hope that you found this information helpful, and hopefully you'll think about pursuing a placement through WISEST and maybe even careers in the geoscience discipline. So if you'd like to join us in thanking all of our panelists, so thank you Ahlam, Allison, and Nicole. Thank you so much for your night and for your expertise. And yeah, we hope that you guys found this information in the panel useful. So thank you. And I think that concludes our evening. And if the panelists want to say good night, that would be great as well.
I just want to say thank you to you, Gabby, and to Kevin and Fernanda and everybody who worked on putting this together. It's a great evening, and appreciate your effort. And thank you to everyone who participated. I definitely learned a lot also.
Yeah, thanks so much for organizing this event. We were just chatting about that. It's really great to have the opportunity to expose people and to, you know, some jobs and things that they may not know about. So thanks for the opportunity to participate.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much for helping us out, and it was great to see you all. I know it's hard during COVID times, so we really appreciate seeing everybody as well. But I think that concludes the event for this evening. So yeah, thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you. See you guys next time.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
This opportunity
everyone.
is amazing.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.